This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Brueski.
Retired FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Robin Dreeke, is our guest as we talk about Lori Vallow Daybell asking for a new trial. Some of the reasons of being one juror in an interview talked about evidence that wasn't presented during the trial. The motion also said the instructions given to the jurors were confusing, among a couple other clerical things that had to be corrected throughout the trial. It's kind of one of those cross all your T's, dot all your I's, so you don't have this sort of situation. But with a trial this complex, there's almost always going to be some sort of error or issue that someone's going to try and poke holes into. And oftentimes they need to request a new trial before they can actually go to requesting an appeal. What's your take on what's going on right now with that?
I really hope that they don't waste the public's money by retrying this, because the outcome's going to be exactly the same. I mean, the preponderance of evidence was overwhelming, and so, but like you said, they're doing their due diligence, as lawyers are, to flush out everything they can in our legal system for their client. And half of the time, I think they're doing it for the client. The other half of the time, they're doing it for their own reputation, so they can get jobs as defense lawyers for the next case. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so sure. I don't know what the judge is going to rule on this. But I suspect she's not going to get a retrial. And if she does, it'll be fast. Who doesn't know about that case in that whole area? How do you do that?
Well, exactly. And I guess the other point being, okay, well, you had a chance to defend her in the last trial, and you didn't. You just rested. So
I know. So there's no argument.
Yeah, to argue and say that we didn't have a fair chance to do this, you just didn't. So
I'm sorry, I forgot about that one. You're totally right on that. She just they threw in the towels. No, they didn't prove their point. Like, what?
Yeah, the only way I think that would be a valid argument you could use that is if you were claiming that your defense wasn't helpful, was not actually defending you, but it's these very people who are filing for a retrial, as if they were going to do something different or better the next time. But like you said, there is a procedure that goes along to this. But I do look at some of these things and go, yeah, I cringed when I listened to that first interview with the juror with East Idaho News. And Nate's a great interviewer. But some of the things he was saying in there made me go, oh, God, like this, what you're saying right now, it will be used against you at some point.
When you see people doing that, you're like, shut up until she's behind bars.
Yeah, well, very much so, because it was just like you're talking and you're making mistakes here, and what you're recalling and you're blatantly saying this, like that is all issue that they are going to have with this.
I know.
And I'd be curious to what other, how other jurors thought as well. Clearly, obviously, she's guilty. Guilty is sin. There was overwhelming evidence in this, but stranger things have happened when it comes to procedural issues and outcomes of getting people retried because of the T's and the I's. Do you think, based on some of these things, have you ever seen a case go back for issues, I guess, on the same par as what they're pointing out here?
Not that I can recall, but like you said, we're in interesting times with interesting cases, and this case was definitely way different. It was almost, in a lot of areas, and I say almost in a lot of areas, it was almost a cult, but not really. It was almost a serial killer, maybe not. It was a case of a lot of almost that were so strange and unusual, and they all crossed and overlapped in a lot of ways because she was so delusional. Yeah. And that goes to something I was thinking of also, is because she seemed, and people are saying she was so involved in telling her defense attorneys what to do, not do, and people are theorizing that's why she was in control of them, saying we have no defense because they didn't prove their point. And for them to come back and now, try to, say mistrial, I wonder if that's her poking them because she couldn't believe she was actually convicted. So it's again, which is to have the defendant that is so delusional, in such control of her own destiny, It's just crazy. So I don't put anything by it.
It is, you look at it go, well, this is what attorneys do, but they really didn't do much with her. But at the same point, if you were to just ask or just to think of it like, well, what would a crazy person do right now? If they had just been tried and found and be convicted and really didn't want to put up a defense, they'd ask for a new trial and, say like this was wrong or that was wrong.
Because what would be interesting is if they did get the new trial and all of a sudden they switch their defense to they blame Chad. Because remember, this has got to save Chad. Chad's the savior and everything. And now that they're looking like they might throw her under the bus to save Chad, she might have rethought that whole process.
It does make you wonder. I mean, there's really not a lot that Lori can do at this point she's not going to get a lesser sentence. She's going to be there for the rest of her life. But it doesn't make a lot. There's no real advantage to her flipping on Chad anymore.
Yes, but I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
One, Tony, but she's a wound collector.
Yeah.
She keeps a scorecard. And regardless of whether she's behind bars or not, she's got a scorecard. And if someone is now on the wrong side of that scorecard, it doesn't matter where she's at. She's coming at you. So that's why I wouldn't rule that out. Regardless of her outcome will be the same. Mm-hmm. Who she takes down along the way might change.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Brueski.
Robin Dreeke, retired FBI Special Agent, Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. His website, peopleformula.com. You can check out his books, his podcasts. Definitely worth looking at. My name's Tony Brueski. If you want to follow me on social media, I am out there at Tony B Pod on Twitter. Go ahead, follow, and join us for some interesting things off the air as we keep a close eye on all of the cases that we follow for you right here. Stay with us.